Hi, so I just finished watching the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer that dropped yesterday during the Super Bowl, and I got a few thoughts on it, so I thought let's just come on here and have a little ramble about it, shall we? So this, of course, is James Gunn's third and final Guardians of the Galaxy movie. This is going to be his last movie for Marvel before he moves on full-time to running DC. And yeah, the trailer really makes it feel like it's going to be a big sort of epic final installment. It feels like a series finale just watching the trailer. It has that kind of real epic space adventure series finale kind of vibe to it, which I think is really, really great. The Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favourite parts of the MCU, quite honestly. The first movie is one of my absolute favourites, easily top five MCU movies. I love that movie. It's probably the MCU film I've rewatched the most out of all of them. I'm just a real kind of sucker for space adventures and sort of sci-fi and space opera. And while I know that the Guardians are not the only characters from the MCU to go into space, they are kind of the most prominent kind of space-based team of the MCU. They're kind of the space franchise of the MCU, the sub-franchise, I guess. So yeah, the first movie I love. I think it's great. I actually really like the second movie as well. A lot of people aren't very keen on that one, but I think it has some good moments. It's not as good as the first one. I agree with that, but I think it's quite good still. But let's talk about this new trailer and let's talk about a few of the things that I really like. First thing I want to talk about is the new villain, High Evolutionary, who is a really awesome villain. Like, this is the guy who was the main antagonist in Spider-Man Unlimited, the very sort of underrated futuristic Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s, which I really, really love. And High Evolution was like a main villain in that, so it's going to be awesome seeing him kind of reinvented in the MCU and by James Gunn in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. That's going to be great. His design looks awesome. I'm not overly familiar with the actor who plays him. I know he was in Peacemaker, but I've not really seen him in anything other than that. He was quite good in Peacemaker though. But yeah, the whole kind of vibe he's giving off is really, really cool. So I can't wait to see him. Adam Warlock as well is looking awesome. I was kind of worried about, not worried necessarily, but I was kind of in two minds about Will Poulter playing that part. I like him as an actor, but I wasn't sure if he'd be sort of right for that part. I don't know if I thought he might have been miscast, but it looks great. Just from, obviously I've not seen any of him. We've not really got much of his dialogue or much of his characterization yet, but just the look alone I think is fantastic. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do as Adam Warlock in this movie. The backstory of Rocket looks tragic as hell. It looks like this movie is gonna just make me an emotional wreck. Like, as many Marvel films have in the past, and many more will in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, that whole thing with High Evolutionary and how he ties into Rocket's past is intriguing to me. I can't wait to see how that all kind of, how they sort of play that, how they execute that. That looks really interesting. Star-Lord, I kind of love Star-Lord, right? Star-Lord is great. Chris Pratt as an actor, I'm kind of mixed on. Sometimes he's really good, sometimes he's really bad, but I think James Gunn has sort of crafted a perfect character for Chris Pratt. He is so, so good as Star-Lord, so it's going to be fun seeing him again. Actually, that's one thing I do really like about the Guardians of the Galaxy films in general. They are all very, very well cast. I think, Chris Pratt is great as Star-Lord. Zoe Saldana is back as a Gamora, a different version of Gamora. That's going to be really interesting. Zoe Saldana being back as Gamora. It's going to be interesting to see how they play that with her relationship with Star-Lord and how that's changed. Obviously, this is a different version of Gamora from Infinity War, so that's going to be really interesting how they play that. The thing I'm as interested, if not a little bit more interested in, though, is the way it kind of affects Gamora's relationship with Nebula, because I really like Gamora and Nebula's relationship. I think it's a really underrated part of those movies. And again, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, one of my favourite things in that movie is the stuff with Gamora and Nebula and them kind of developing their relationship. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting to see how they kind of what they do with that, as well as with the Gamora and Star-Lord stuff as well. That's all going to be fun. we've got the big space opera kind of feel to the trailer. I'm a sucker for a good space opera, and Guardians of the Galaxy has basically been that throughout its run. And this, this is going to be the biggest. It's looking like it's going to be the biggest one of all. Maybe not the best, but the biggest certainly. So high stakes. Looking forward to that. Really, the main thing that I kind of took away from this though is I kind of love Nebula's character arc, which is a weird thing to say because in the first movie, Nebula kind of she's okay. I like Nebula in the first movie, but she's not really given much to do. She's basically the secondary villain. I think in the first movie I mostly liked her because I thought the design was cool and because I like Karen Gillan as an actress. In fact, I've got a couple of posters from Karen Gillan back when she was in Doctor Who on the wall behind me here. So yeah, I think that was the main reason I kind of liked Nebula in the first movie, because I like Karen Gillan. But again, that second movie they really developed her character with and her relationship with Gamora, and then in Endgame she was really, really good. So I actually think that Nebula has one of the most underrated character arcs in the MCU, and I'm really interested to see how they kind of continue that and conclude that, really, I suppose, in Guardians 3. Also, I love that she's now a full-on member of the Guardians to the point where she's having banter with them. That was one of my favourite things in the trailer. There's a couple of moments where she has some banter with Peter Quill, and that's going to be really, really good. I hope they have more of that, because Karen Gillan is really good at doing comedy stuff. Like, I really like her in Jumanji. Again, she was quite funny when she was in Doctor Who from time to time. Yeah, I think Karen Gillan can absolutely do comedy, and I'm hoping they let her do a little bit more as Nebula, because Nebula's not really a very funny character. I don't think you necessarily need all of the characters to be, constantly doing one-liners. But yeah, I'm hoping we get more banter with Nebula, because I like Nebula as a character. I think she's fun. This is a very rambly video. But overall thoughts, love Guardians of the Galaxy as a franchise within the MCU. I'm really looking forward to seeing the final movie. Like I say, it has that kind of big, epic series finale kind of quality to the trailer. I really love, incidentally, this is just a bonus thing. This has nothing to do with the actual film, but I love that they used the song Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow in the trailer, because I love that song. I hope that song is in the actual movie, because I love that song. It's one of my favourite songs. But anyway, yeah, it had the big, epic, sort of space opera feel to it. All the characters look like they're going to have fun. Adam Warlock is going to be great. High Evolutionary. I'm looking so forward to seeing High Evolutionary, because he is such an underrated Marvel villain, and I think he's going to be absolutely great. If there's any franchise within the MCU where you can slot him in perfectly, it is the Guardians of the Galaxy. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be fun. It looks like it's going to be epic. It looks like it's going to be, at times, very, very emotional. And I cannot wait to see it. It is going to be so, so good. That's going to wrap it up, my thoughts on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer. This was a very rambly video. Anyway, thanks for listening to me witter on about a trailer for ages. See you when I see you. Bye.